Hey, what's up, everybody? Jake Arthur here from Locked On Colts, and we're giving you a little bit of a Locked On Mock Draft Live primer today from the perspective of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Zach is doing the honors for us later here at 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 YouTube channel. We're going to kind of get you guys ready for this because everyone's going to watch it, right? We're going to go over what the Colts really need, what are the team needs, players that we've got our eyes on there at 15. Would we consider moving up, moving down? There's some enticing things there. Plenty of reasons for the Colts to want to go in either direction. And then teams ahead of the Colts at 15 that might want to snipe the players that we're really looking for. Teams we've really got to kind of sweat it out over. And really the main reason you trade up in the first place, if you do so. So let's go over some team needs for the Colts. Obviously, when you start kind of a depth chart order, you're really looking at the explosive element on offense. Now, does that come from the tight end position? Does it come from receiver? You've already got your X receiver covered with Michael Pittman Jr., same for the slot. Alec Pierce at your Z, your flanker position. Really good downfield player, gets a full head of steam and can beat his man one-on-one, can win some 50-50 balls. But do you want to wait? Do you want to put your eggs in that basket? Or do you want to get someone who's a little quicker, can win those matchups right away, can still get downfield and take the top off, but maybe offers more yak potential than Pierce certainly does? And that's something you could do. Tight end, I know there's a lot of people who want to kind of wait and see with the group of Jelani Woods, Will Mallory, Kylan Granson, Drew Ogletree. We have no idea what the future is there, but the Colts do have some guys at tight end who are capable, but they're just missing an explosive element. And while they do have some talent coming back, it obviously would be wise to add another person capable of doing that. Again, whether it's a tight end early on, like Brock Bowers, or maybe like in round 2, a Jatavian Sanders, or someone who can create yak, threaten up the seam, what have you. But receivers, really, you're looking at, your Brian Thomas that can take the top off Xavier Worthy. Obviously, A.D. Mitchell can do that as well. If there's been a little bit of smoke lately with Malik Neighbors, but enough smoke where this time of year, we know what the Colts, nothing really comes out of the Colts draft room. National guys, you love them, you appreciate what they do throughout the year, but when it comes to reporting on what the Colts are going to do in the draft, not many people usually get that right. And it's an iron tight organization when it comes to draft secrets. But other positions you could look at. Offensive line is covered. Defensive tackle is covered now that DeForest Buckner got his 2-year extension. Grover Stewart obviously signed to a new deal this offseason as well. But when you look at the edges, they may not need anything right now, but when you look to next year, if they decline to pick up Kwity Paye's 5th-year option, then you're going to have him and Dayo Adengbo hitting free agency next year. Samson Ebukam's contract is coming up as well. So it looks like a fully stocked cupboard at edge could be looking really, really rough here in the next year or two. So if you have a guy like a Dallas Turner that falls in your lap, maybe even the Colts like Jared Verse or Chop Robinson, Latu, if things check out okay there, medical wise, you never know. I mean, it's not every day that you get a premier pass rushing prospect fall in your lap there in the middle of the first round. So that's certainly something the Colts could consider. The secondary, there's really no safeties that I think are going to be projected to go in the first round. Probably not even the bottom of the first round. So you're really looking at cornerback at that point. The Colts do have some young talent, obviously, Juju Brents, Jalen Jones. But, Brents, even if he's a really, really good player, he's a 4.5 guy in the 40. So he's kind of limited with speed. Now, it was a coverage breakdown in week 18 that led to that deep Nico Collins touchdown, but you still saw Brent's on an island, and coverage gaffes are going to happen with safety help not being there. Do you go ahead and get a guy that is faster and can keep up in those scenarios, like a Quinyon Mitchell? Maybe even Terrion Arnold might be a little faster. Nate Wiggins, obviously very fast. ran in the 4.2s, but I don't know stylistically how much that fits the Colts. But yeah, Quinyon Mitchell is the most mocked player to the Colts for a reason. He just checks every box. He's got the size, the speed, the athleticism, the mental makeup. He's got that dog in him. So he of course makes all the sense in the world. Terry and Arnold for a lot of the same reasons. Mitchell's a little faster, a little bigger. So those are some guys obviously to keep an eye on. Now, trading up, trading back for the Colts. If you trade up, there's not many guys I would do it for. Now, someone like Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably out of your range. You're not going to go up in the top 5 because even if a team falls in love with Malik Neighbors and picks him over Harrison's floor in this is as the second receiver taken. It's probably going to be the first receiver taken. So at that point, you see if Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze is slipping a little bit. And then if they're there at 8, 9, 10, maybe you start to get the wheels turning that a trade is possible. If they love Brock Bowers or Quinyon Mitchell enough, Dallas Turner as well, I think those are about the only group of guys they would consider trading up for. This is a good group of quarterbacks and offensive linemen as well, but I just really don't think that's going to be anything the Colts address that early. Trading back, now for my money, sitting here, unless one of those premier horseshoe guys that they will have earmarked are there available, Turner, Quinyon Mitchell, Brock Bowers, unless one of those guys is there at 15, I think the Colts will have a hunk of players they really like. And as a result, they might look to trade back a little bit, 5 to 7 spots. And then whoever is the best left of that hunk of players that they really like, it's probably the direction they'll go. I think that would perhaps be an ideal scenario for Chris Ballard. That could get him an extra 3rd or a 4th round pick. You never know. But it'll get him a pick within round 3 or 4, I would imagine, depending on how far back they go. So I think that's definitely a good idea. In that scenario, you're really looking at Xavier Worthy is a great option, Kool-Aid McKinstry. If Jared Verse is there and they really like him, Cooper DeJean is obviously a very high likelihood as well around there. DeJean's a player that can play all over the secondary. Do you like him at safety, nickel, boundary corner? Where do you like him? Doesn't matter. He's going to be a really athletic, projects to be a very good player. Now, as far as teams that could snipe the Colts for what they want, it just depends. If they're dead set on getting one of those premier, again, horseshoe guys, then Atlanta probably snipe Dallas Turner from them. I've seen Quinyon Mitchell mocked to the Raiders a lot. But the receivers, I don't think they plan on getting Harrison or Odunze or Neighbors. But if one of those guys, slips, there's a ton of teams in front of them that could look to draft a receiver. You could throw Brian Thomas in that as well, because we all see odd things happen. Maybe Brian Thomas, there's teams that are absolutely head over heels in love with him, and he's projected really high on their board. The Giants, the Falcons, Chicago, the Jets, Las Vegas, New Orleans. Those are all teams I could see threatening the Colts' desire for explosiveness on offense. So we'll see. We'll see. That's why we do this thing, right? So stay tuned here, Locked On Sports Today. If you're watching live right now here on Locked On Colts, you'll be sent to the debut of the 2024 Locked On NFL Mock Draft presented by LinkedIn on our Locked On Sports Today 24/7 live streaming feed. If you are watching this after the fact, you'll be able to catch the episode in which the Colts make their first pick right here on Locked On Colts on Thursday, April 18th. And you can get every episode of the 2024 Locked On NFL Mock Draft on Locked On NFL Draft on Thursday, April 18th, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.